with all due respect, because you know, I be telling it like it is and how I see it. I'm not always right, not always wrong. But when I am right, I do like to, tell people that I am right. And I was right about the Chiefs, but also I was right about the Steelers, all along, Let's talk about the Steelers right now as we enter the second half of the show. The Steelers' Mike Tomlin walks off out of his press conference when asked about his contract after the wild card loss at the Bills and tells the team today, okay, just broke a couple hours before we got on the air, that he will return to coach the team in 2024. So, Zach, the question, and obviously I didn't get to update the bottom ticker, but the question is, should Mike Tomlin have pulled a Sean Payton?
Yeah, well, so there are a lot of angles we could go with here. I'll start with some numbers, right? The Steelers have now lost 5 consecutive playoff games. That's the longest streak in franchise history. We all know they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And also, during those 5 losses, they've allowed 31 or more points in each of those games. And then to close it out, in the first quarter of those 5 games, they've been outscored 66-0. No, I'm not making those numbers up. 66-0. And the thing is, Lil, I feel like a lot of times when we talk about the team that loses a playoff game and gets eliminated, their season's over, a lot of times we'll point to a certain play or a certain thing that cost them, and we'll really break down the loss. But we're not doing that today. Like, there's no doubt about it. The main storyline coming out of this game is Mike Tomlin and his future in Pittsburgh. And the thing about this game, right? We know that Mike Tomlin, say what you want about him, he might be the best coach in the NFL in front of a microphone when the camera's on. This guy is electric on the podium. And I just kept asking myself, at least I did before that news broke a couple hours ago, like, what was the purpose of him walking out of the room and storming out mid-question like that? Was that predetermined? Like, did he know he was going to do that? Because even though they just lost the game like that, I don't think Mike Tomlin was or should have been necessarily surprised that reporter asked him that question, right? We all have heard the rumblings by Adam Schefter and Jay Glazer that him pulling the Sean Payton was a possibility. But I just keep thinking to myself, if he would have just answered the question like Nick Sirianni did yesterday, one of those, I'm not focused on me, I'm focused on the guys in that locker room that are hurting right now, Mike Tomlin would have been maybe a non-story, and we would have been talking about the Bills coming out of this game. But he created this viral moment that everyone's talking about, and I'm just trying to figure out why. Did he do it because he thought the question was beneath him a bit? Like, oh, I'm the guy that has been here 17 years and has never had a losing season. I have a Super Bowl ring. Why would you even consider the fact that I would want to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, it's because Adam Schefter and Jay Glazer, 2 of the most trustworthy reporters in the NFL, have floated this idea, and it's been around for a while. And he has 1 year left on his contract right now. I would assume that he's going to get an extension before the season with this news that he's going to be coming back, because there just aren't really a lot of times that a head coach will go into a season with only 1 year left on his deal. At this point, he's usually either extended or fired. And I question him, but I also question the Steelers. Like, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise that should have very high standards. They have all of those Lombardi trophies, and not winning a playoff game in 7 years, that's just too long. And I'm not saying that I think Mike Tomlin deserves to be fired. Like, he's done a great job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not having a losing season in 17 years is something that he should be proud of, and something that not a lot of coaches in this league could do. And even this year, the fact that they had that awful 3-game losing streak, which, yes, a lot of that could be pointed at him for not realizing that starting Mitch Trubisky over Mason Rudolph was going to be a major mistake once Kenny Pickett went down. But I just think both sides would have been better off with the change. I really do. And our guy Dujne is coming in right here asking, did the Steelers give Mike Tomlin the pieces to be able to win? That answer is no. And you're right. But who runs the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's Mike Tomlin. He's the guy that's responsible for all of these personnel decisions. I know they have a new GM in Omar Khan, but he's one of the rare coaches in the NFL that has a lot of control over that personnel. He's the reason why Kenny Pickett was drafted in the first round. He's the reason why they drafted Najee Harris in the first round. You know, Mike Tomlin, he runs the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the king of that organization. And I just think right now, after 7 years of not winning a playoff game, both sides would have been better for a change. And, you know, Will, I know you've used this line a bunch, but it's hard to deny right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are just content with mediocrity. And as one of the flagship teams and franchises in the NFL, I just would have expected their standards would be a little higher. Mike Tomlin always says that, right? The standard is the standard. Has that standard changed? Because it looks like it to me.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, I'm not sure where Zay is at. You know, I would like for him to get his mama's cooking here on the show, because me and him go back and forth on this Mike Tomlin debate every single day. You know, if you look at our 99 pod chat, which you obviously can't look at, that's private. This is a topic of conversation day to day that, you know, causes us to go back and forth. We just don't agree, you know, when it comes to where the Steelers stand. And it's funny because this topic alone is a very polarizing, you know, topic in itself. You have Steelers fans that do believe that they can't see a world without Mike Tomlin in it. You have some Steelers fans and Steelers, you know, radio hosts that think Mike Tomlin should have been out of here 2 years ago. That's the type of world we live in when it comes to arguably the most polarizing coach in all of football, possibly in history. Now, for me to answer this question, it's going to be a elongated take. I apologize ahead of time. I hope you got some food and snacks. I hope you sit back and relax because guess what, man? Listen, ain't no coming back from this one, bro. I am going all in. You know, I think to start off, Mike Tomlin is a very interesting situation in the sense that, you know, he has put together winning regular seasons, and a lot of people don't want to fire him for it. You know, I hear a lot like what Dujanay saying, you know, where's the franchise quarterback? Where's the pieces, the offensive line sticks and all that? And I get that. But at the end of the night, he makes those decisions. You know, he partners with his owner. He has that type of power. And if you are arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, you got to get something out of that roster. And I think that he's just coaching on all Madden. You know, that's how he does. He's very conservative. You know, a couple weeks ago, he lost a game to the Colts that they had no business losing. You know, you think about how they limped into the playoffs. There was 2 games that they lost that they shouldn't have lost, which was against the Patriots, which was against the Bills. The Bills last night. But, you know, obviously they wasn't favored to win that game. We're talking about the Cardinals that they lost to. And you win those 2 games, maybe you have a better seeding than going up against the Buffalo Bills. So clearly had the way better roster than what you had. That's the thing I'm talking about, is sleeping at the wheel. You know, you have a guy in Mason Rudolph who's been in this roster for the last 5 years, and you finally gave him another shot, you know, which you should have gave him a shot after Kenny Pickett went down because you already know what you had in Mitch Trubisky, because we saw when you gave Mitch Trubisky that job before, it wasn't it, you know. And then, okay, you go in the Colts game and you bypass a 57-yard field goal to trim the lead to 11. You never gave your team a shot to win that game. And then, end of the regular season, he kind of had like a little turnaround thing where he became overnight aggressive. And I'm like, okay, he's going for it on 4th down, and it's below 2 minutes in the game. They up by a touchdown, and he wants a pass play to George Pickens to ice the game. I'm saying to myself, wait, hold up. Something is not right here. This is not Mike Tomlin right here. I am not used to this. What's going on here? Is Mike Tomlin finally not playing the game on all Madden? Is he adapting to modern football? You know, because you got to put up points. Look at Dan Campbell. He's out here winning his team games with his coaching decisions, okay, by going for it and winning the game smartly, okay? We're not like Brandon Staley out here going for it in our own backyard. No, but we are trying to win the game. We are not playing to lose the game. We are playing to win the game. And I said to myself, wait, hold up. I'm noticing something with Mike Tomlin. Am I seeing things? And then in this game, back to the conservative they go. Okay, the Bills are stacking the box. They know the running game is coming. They know you're going to run that football. You've been doing it all year. They stacked the box. They prepared for it. They said, you know what, man? Just stack the box. We're going to win this daggone game. And they stacked the box. And you still winning the daggone football. They out here looking at this cat like, what are you doing? Okay, 20 carries amongst Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Most of those carries came in the first half because, you know, the game got away and then they had to pass, but it was too daggone late. is adaptability is my number one thing when you talk about a coach like Mike Tomlin. He doesn't adapt to modern times. And I understand we like to talk about the regular season at this point in the calendar, January 16th, 5:56 p.m. I don't care about the regular season. I don't. I can give a damn about the regular season. It's over. It's about the playoffs. And the last 5 times this team has made the playoffs, they got run off the football field. There was a point in the game right before halftime where the Bills were clearly without a punter. You talk about special teams. That's something that the Steelers needed to win yesterday in order to win the game. They didn't. Okay? Instead of them calling a timeout to force the Bills to run a play so they can get a stop so they can punt the ball, they waited till 2 seconds left in the deck or have to call the timeout. Hello? Wake up. Stop sleeping on the job. Mike Tomlin, it's you. So this is what I'm talking about. So when I go on this mic and I, talk about Mike Tomlin and I say, yo, we need to hold them accountable, I should not be getting pushback. People should be saying facts, Lil, preach it. Because who wants to lose? Who wants to be in football purgatory, okay, being 500 every single year with no realistic shot to win a daggone championship? Now, okay, fine. I'm going to play Zay's role because he ain't here to play it. So I'm going to read his mind. I know what he's saying. I know what he's going to say. I debate him on this topic every day, okay? He's going to say, well, guess what? He doesn't have a franchise quarterback, okay? He don't have talent. All right, fine. If that is true, if Mike Tomlin is still a good coach who is devoid of a franchise quarterback, then maybe he should go too. Because maybe this mediocre 500 football is pulling them away from tanking out and getting a franchise guy. Okay? So in that case, when you want to defend him, all right, he still should go. There's no reason why Mike Tomlin should be coaching the Steelers right now. Okay? After a while, it got stale with Bill Belichick. He had to go. Okay? Do we know who Bill Belichick is? Right now, he's the one out here taking interviews. They're not interviewing him. He's like, listen, I'm taking an interview with Atlanta. I'm going to take an interview with whoever. Okay? He's a Don Dada for a reason, but he had to go because it got stale. When is the Steelers going to realize that they cannot continue to be loyal to their players and coaches if it comes at the extent of winning a championship? And that's my take.
Great stuff there, Will. I'm going to ask you, though, what did you make of him storming off in the press conference yesterday? Did you think there was any reason behind that? Like, did you think he was just mad at the question? Like, what was going through your mind after you watched that clip?
When I first saw it, I was laughing. I thought it was a meme. I immediately knew it was going to be a meme. And, I said I like Mike Tomlin for that. He does so many things that make him likable. He gives us memes, he gives us speeches, and we fall for it. But upon thinking about it overnight, that was one of the most unprofessional things I've ever seen from a coach, with all due respect. I mean, the girl didn't even finish asking the daggone question, and you walk off on that. If I was that media pundit, Mike Tomlin would have had to see me outside. With all due respect, you're not going to embarrass me like that. Okay? Imagine if I'm on the show.
Right? With all the rumblings and reports that have been going on about his future, like that
imagine if we on the show and you say take I don't like and I leave and don't come back. That's disrespectful. All right? You could have just simply said, you know what? I'm not taking no questions in regards to my contract anymore. It's funny because he could have did the same thing that he did when they asked him about the USC job. And he says, I forgot what he said. He said some fly line and kept it moving.
Yeah, he thought the question was beneath him. And honestly, deep down, I did feel yesterday, like, man, a lot of the reaction was after that yesterday was, oh, he's gone. Like, he's not coming back. But deep down, I did feel a little bit like, man, did he just feel like insulted by the question? Because he knows he's going to be back next year and he knows how much stock he's built up within this organization that ultimately, like, they're just not going to make a move. And I think the question about the USC and the LSU job, that's a good point you bring up, because he just acted so insulted when, a lot of coaches in the NFL, Andy Reid was asked about the BYU job when it opened because he's an alum. Like, he just got so offended by that question. And especially given the rumblings from Schefter and Glazer about some questions about his future, that was an appropriate question to ask after a loss. And I thought he should have just answered it the way Nick Sirianni did, Like, it's not about me. It's about the players in that locker room right now. And this would have been a non-story. But because he did that, he just dipped. And now we're talking about it.
Look, man, we could talk about other coaches and and what they do is fine, but at the end of the night, it wasn't right to me what he did. I understand he built a lot of equity up, in regards to his popularity in the NFL and his not only popularity, but his resume and his winning seasons and what he could bring to a team, the leadership, because we never say he's not a leader. He's a leader of men. We understand that. But at the end of the day, things get stale. And listen, I'm a video game player. I love to play video games. I was raised playing video games, right? Now, I'm not on the video game all day, like how some of these people, they don't even come outside, but I like to play video games. And I remember when I used to go to my dad's house and we had my cousins, we had my brothers, and we all used to play the game. Only 2 people could play the game at once. So whether we playing Madden or NBA 2K, only 2 people could play the game at once because we had 2 controllers. And anytime you lose, you give up the mic. Okay, it's like, all right, I lose, I'm giving up the mic. Somebody else has an opportunity to get on, not the mic, the controller, to get on the controller and play the video game. And I just think that Mike Tomlin is taking up all this, space with his, job. Like, come on, give somebody else an opportunity. And I understand that we talk about the Rooney Rule and we talk about African Americans. And I think, in the situation of the NFL, where there's not a lot of African Americans in hierarchy positions, Mike Tomlin gets a pass because he's African American. So that's kind of like the guy we look to because he's like the face of the NFL, kind of. So we kind of like, yo, I'm for Mike Tomlin, but hand over the mic, that controller to somebody else. African American, Caucasian, whoever is going to do the job right, hand over the controller. It's time, bro. You had this controller for so many years, since 2008. Okay? And that's where I leave it.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. We're slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.